of you all, benevolent spectators. And since it seems your kindness depends upon being displayed to you, if you continue to keep quiet and still, well, until the end, you will hear all about a recent case that happened in Florence. A young man called Callimaco, a young woman of wit was much beloved by him, and for this was deceived, as you will hear. And I would wish that you, as she was, might be deceived too. This play is called Mandragola. Its author's not a man of fame, but if you do not laugh, he will gladly buy you all a jug of wine. But here's come Callimaco, coming out with Cyril, his servant, and he'll tell us all how everything will go. So pay attention and don't expect for no more explanations. Cyril, don't go away. I need you a moment. I'm right here. I think you were wondering about my sudden departure from Paris, and now you're wondering why I've been here for a month without achieving anything. Indeed I am. If I haven't told you before what I'm going to tell you now, it wasn't because I didn't trust you. Rather, it's because I judge that if there are things that you don't want to be known, then it's better not to talk about them unless you have to. And now, seeing that I need your assistance, I want to tell you everything. I'm at your service, and servants must never question their masters in anything or require about anything they do. Rather, when they themselves ask, they must serve them faithfully, and that's what I've always done and always will. I know you will. I think you've heard me relate it 1,000 times, but it doesn't matter if you hear it 1,001 times. How I was 10 years old when my guardians, because my father and mother were dead, sent me to Paris, where I lived for 20 years. And because 10 years later, with the descendant of Charles, the Italian War begins, bringing the destruction of this land, I decided to settle in Paris and never return to my native land, in the belief that I could make a more secure living there than here. And that's the case, sir. I arranged that all my property here should be sold except our house, and I decided to stay there, where I lived most happily forever for another 10 years. As well I know, dividing my time between studies, pleasure and business, I labored enough in each of these so that no one of them impeded the progress of the other. And in this way, as you know, I lived most peacefully, assisting everyone and endeavoring to offend no one, so that I felt I was friend to burghers and nobles, expatriates and Parisians, rich and poor. Indeed, it's the truth. But fortunately, in the belief that I was having too good a time, brought a certain Camillo Carfuzzi to visit Paris. I'm beginning to guess what your problem is. He, like other Florentines, were often invited to dinner at my house, and as we talked together, it happened one day that we started arguing about which country had more beautiful women, Italy or France. And because I couldn't talk about Italian women, since that I was so young when I left, some other Florentine who was present took the side of the French, and Camillo the Italian side, and after many arguments were put forward on each side, Camillo said almost angrily that even if all Italian women were monsters, one of his relatives would redeem their honor. Now I know what you are trying to say. And he named Madonna Lucrezia, wife of Messer Nisia Cafuzzi, and he held such praise on her beauty, on her manners, that he amazed every last one of us. And in me he arouses such desire to see her that I abandoned all previous intentions, thought no more about the wars or the peace of Italy, and set out for here. And when I arrived, I found that Madonna Lucrezia's reputation fell far short of the truth, which is very rare occurrence, and I am so aroused by desire to be by her side that I find no peace. If you have told me about this in Paris, I would know how to advise you, but now I don't know what to say. I haven't told you this to get your advice, but partly to vent my frustration and also so that you get yourself ready to help me as the need arises. For that I'm always ready, but what hope have you got? Alas, none! Why is that? I'll tell you. First of all, what's most against me in her character? She's completely virtuous and quite against anything to do with love. And the fact that she has a very rich husband and that he allows himself to be controlled by her. And even if he isn't young, he's not as old as he seems. And that she has no relatives or neighbors who might require her presence at some party or reception or at some other entertainment that young women usually enjoyed. She never has tradesmen in her house. She hasn't a maidservant or a manservant that doesn't tremble in her presence, with the result that there is no opportunity for any corruption. So, what do you think you can do? Nothing. If ever so desperate that there's no room for hope, and even if it is a vain or slender hope, immense longing and desire to move things forward make it seem not so. Well, what gives you hope? Two things. The first, Messer Nisia's simple-mindedness. Even though he's a judge, he's most simple-minded, the most foolish man in Florence. The other is the desire that they both nurture to have children. And being married for 6 years and not having had any yet, seeing that they are seriously rich, they're dying to have them. And there's one more. Her mother, was a good time girl in her youth, but she's rich. So that I don't know how to make advantage of her. Have you tried anything else at all, apart from this? Yes, I have, but not much. Like what? You know Liguro? The fellow who's forever coming to dinner with me? Well, he started out as marriage broker. Then he looked up scrounging for lunch and dinner, and because he's an unpleasant enough chap, Messer Nisia has struck up a close friendship with him and Ligurio. He's taking him for a ride, and even though he doesn't invite him to lunch, he does lend him money sometimes. I've made friends with him, and I've told him about my love. He's promised to help me, boosts and all. Be careful, he doesn't cheat you. These scroungers tend not to be trustworthy. Well, that's true. Even so, when something is in your interest, you have to believe once you've entrusted into someone else that he's going to serve you loyally. I promise him that if it turns out well, I'll give him a goodly sum of money. And if it doesn't turn out, then He'll earn himself a lunch or a dinner so that whatever happens, I won't be eating alone. So what has he promised to do so far? He's promised to persuade Mr. Nisian to go to the spa with his wife next May. What's in this for you? What's in this for me? The spa? The spa might transform her into a different woman because all they do in such places is party. I'd made myself there and I sampled all the pleasures I could and I'd put on my very best displays possible. I'd make friends with her husband. And how do I know? One thing leads to another and time takes care of the rest. I like it. Liguru left me this morning saying that he would see Mr. Nisian about this and he would get back to me. Here they come. I'm going to move aside so that you can have a word with Liguru as soon as he gets away from the judge. In the meantime, you go home and you get things done. And if I need you to do anything, I'll let you know. I'm off.
I believe this is good advice you have given me. I discussed it last night with my wife and she said that she'd give me an answer today. But to tell you the truth, I'm not keen on going. Why not? Because I don't like poking my head out to the door and then having to decant the wife, the maid, the household. It's just not worth it. Besides, I talked to a number of doctors yesterday. One of them said I should go to San Filippo. Another said to Pojeta, and the other said to Villa. In my opinion, they are all quacks. And to tell you the truth, these medical doctors don't know a spa from a spade. What you said before about moving, that must really bother you because you're not used to letting the cupola out of your sight. That's not true. When I was younger, I was a great gadabout. They never held a fair at Prato without me going there. And there isn't a town around about where I haven't been. And I'll tell you something. I've been to Pisa and Livorno. So, there. You must have seen the Wart in Pisa. You mean the Verrucola fortress? Of course, the Verrucola. When you were in Livorno, did you see the sea? You know I saw the sea. How much bigger is than the Arno? Than the Arno? It is 4 times. More than 6 times. More than 7 times bigger. You'll make me say. You can't see anything except water, water, water everywhere. You have pissed in so many places that I'm amazed you make such a fuss about taking the waters at the spa. You are wet behind the ears. You think it's a breeze to uproot the whole household? Even so, I still want to have children, that I'm prepared to do anything. So have a talk to these baboons and find out where they advised me to go. In the meantime, I'll be with my wife and we'll meet again later. Well said. I don't think there's a sillier man in the world than him. And look how fortune has favored him. He's got money, he's got a beautiful woman who's smart and clever and fit to rule a kingdom, and I think it's rare to see proof of the proverb that says, marriage are made in heaven. Because you often see a man with all the right attributes draw a monster of a woman, and conversely, a good woman gets a lunatic. But from his lunacy brings one good thing, that Callimaco has something to hope for. But here he comes now. What are you up to, Callimaco?
I saw you with the judge and I was waiting for you to get away from him so I could find out what you've done.
You know what he's like. Not very smart and even less brave. He's unwilling to leave Florence. Even so, he's warming to the idea, and at the end, he said that we'll do anything, and if he likes this plan, I think we'll get him to go along with it. But I'm not sure that we'll achieve what we need to.
Why is that?
How can I be sure? You know that these bats attract every kind of person, and it could be that there are men, who find Madonna Lucrezia just as pleasing as you do, and someone richer than you, more charming than you, so that we run the risk of going to all this trouble for somebody else, and it may happen that the rush of rivals just makes her more firm in her resolve, or that she makes the acquaintance of someone else and turns him righter than to you.
I'm going to you're right, but how am I go about it? What am I to do? Where am I to turn? Or I have to try something, even if it is grandiose or dangerous or harmful or infamous. It's better to die than to live like this. If I could sleep at night, if I could eat, if I could hold a conversation, oh, if I could make pleasure in anything, I'd be more patient in biding my time. But there's nothing for it there. And if my hopes are buoyed by some plan, I'll die anyway. And seeing that I'm going to die, I'm not going to be afraid of anything, but rather I'm going to do something beastly, cruel, and wicked.
Don't talk that way. Put yourself together.
You can see that the only way I can hold myself together is by nurturing such thoughts as these. And there's why either we have to keep on trying to see him, taking him to the boss, or we have to choose some other way to give me hope, a vain one at least, if not a real one, so that I can cherish a thought that will bring some comfort to my troubled breast.
You're right, and I'm ready to do it.
I believe you, even though I know that you're the man of. Even though I know that men of your kind make a living out of deceiving people. Nonetheless, I don't think that you've been deceiving me, because if you did, I have noticed. I'll try to pay you back, and you would at once lose the use of my house and my hope, and I had to, and you had to, of what I promised you for the future.
Do not doubt my loyalty. And if I didn't stand to gain what I hear and what I hope, the fact is that we share a blood bond, and I want you to fulfill your desire, almost as much as you do. But be that as it may, the judge has asked me to find a doctor and discover which bats are best to go. I want you to do what I tell you. And that is that you should say that you have studied medicine and you have practiced a bit in Paris. He'll believe you easily because it's so simple. And because you have been to school and you can say something to him in Latin.
What use will that be?
We'll use it to send him to whichever bats we want to, or make him accept another plan that I've thought of, which will be quicker, surer, and more feasible than the bats.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that if you have the courage, and if you trust me, I'll hand you this on a plate before this time tomorrow. And even if we were the kind of man, which he isn't, who would try to check up whether you are a doctor or not, the short space of time and the matter itself will ensure either that he doesn't talk about it, or that he isn't in time to spoil the plan, even if he did talk about it.
You restore me to life? You're promising too much. And you're giving me too much hope. What will you do?
You'll find out when the time comes, because for now, I don't need to tell you. We'll be short of time for action, not for talking. You go home, and wait me there, and I'll go and find the judge. And if I bring him to you, you just follow my lead and adapt yourself to that.
Indeed I will, even though you fill me with a hope that I feel will go up in smoke.
As I told you, I believe that God sent us this man so that your wish will be granted. He has extensive experience in Paris, and don't be surprised if he hasn't practiced his profession in Florence, because the reason is, first, that he is rich, and second, because he's returning to Paris at any moment. Well, my friend, that's very important, because I wouldn't want you to lead me up the garden path and then leave me high and dry. Have no fear of that. The only thing to be frightened of it is that he won't want to go to this trouble. But if he does, he won't give up until he's seen through. As far as that's concerned, I'm going to put my trust in you. But as for his professional skills, I'll have the last word myself as to whether he's a man of learning, because he won't sell me some quack remedy. And because I know, I'll send you to him so that you can talk to him. And when you have talked to him, if you don't think his presence, his learning, his eloquence make him so trustworthy that you'll kneel before him, then you can say that he's not the one. Well, now, in the name of the Archangel, let's go. But where does he live? He lives right on this piazza, at the house that you see opposite ours.
Who is that wants me?
Buona dias, Domine Magister.
Oh. Et vobis bona, Dominic Doctor.
How does it seem to you? God's word, he's good. If you want me to stay here with you, you'll have to speak so that I can understand. Otherwise, we'll be heading in opposite directions.
What brings you here?
How would I know? I'm in pursuit of two things that anybody else would probably flee. Namely, to bring trouble on myself and on others. I don't have children, and I want some. And trouble myself with them, I have come to bother you.
Sit. Thank you. It will be no trouble to me to please you, an all excellent and worthy man like you. And I only toiled in Paris for so many years just so as to be able to serve men like yourself.
Thank you, indeed. And if you ever needed my skills, I would willingly serve you. But let us return at Red Nostra. Have you given thought to which spa would be good to prepare my wife to get pregnant? I know that Ligurio here has told you what's been said.
He certainly has. But in order to fulfill your desire, it is necessary to know the cause of your wife's sterility. Because there can be several reasons. Nam causa sterilitatis sunt aut in seminam, aut in matris, aut in instrumentis seminaris, aut in virga, aut in causa extrinsica.
This is the cleverest man alive.
Besides this sterility could be caused by you, by impotence, and if this were the case, there would be no remedy at all.
Me? Impotent? Oh, you make me laugh. I don't think there's a stronger, more vigorous man in Florence than me.
If it's not that, then be of good cheer, and we'll find out a remedy.
Would there be some other remedy than the bath? Because I would rather not have this bother. My wife wouldn't be reluctant to leave Florence. Yes, there would be. I want to answer this question. Callimaco.
He's so cautious.
Callimaco is so cautious that it takes it to excess. Did you to tell me that you know how to prepare certain potions that will bring on pregnancy without fail?
Indeed, I did. But I keep it quiet about it with people that I don't know because I wouldn't wish them to take me for a quack.
Don't worry about me, because you have amazed me to such an extent that there is nothing that you would not do or believe that you're at your hands. I think that you need to see a specimen.
Absolutely. We can't proceed without it.
Call Cyril, and then tell him to go home with the judge to get one, and come back here. We'll wait inside.
Ciro, go with him. And Your Honor, come straight back if you like. And we'll think of something good.
What do you mean if I like? I'll be back in a flash because I have more faith in you than the Hungarians have in people's spinal.
Do you have the specimen? And then over here. Oh, this specimen shows a weakness of the kidneys.
It does look loaded, but she's only just done it now.
Don't let it surprise you. Nam mulieris urine sunt supre maioris grossetti et albedinis et minoris pulchritudinis quam virorum. Uius autem inter cetera cosa est amplitutum canalium mixtiu eorum que ex matris exeunt cum urina.
Oh, by St. Puck's pocket is getting better and better with every stroke. See how well he speaks on this subject.
I'm afraid she's not well covered at night, and that's why her urine's a bit pale.
She keeps a good kilt over her, but she spends 4 hours on her knees with our father before she'll go to bed. And she's a tough one with a cold.
Well, all say and done, Your Honor. Either you trust me or you don't. Oh. Either I'll direct you to the sure remedy or not. And if a year from today your wife isn't holding a son in her arms, I will owe you 200 ducats. 2,000.
Say what you have to say, because I'm going to respect you in every and trust you more than my confessor.
You must understand this, that there's no way more certain to get a woman pregnant than making her drink a potion making from Mandragola. I've twice had first-hand experience on this on 2 occasions, and I've always found it to be the case. And but for this, the Queen of France would be sterile, and any number of princes in this kingdom.
Is this possible?
Just as I say. In the meantime, fortune has so smiled upon you that I have brought here with me all the things that go into that potion, and that you can have it as you require.
When should she take it?
This evening after supper, because the moon is well disposed and the time couldn't be more propitious.
That won't be any great problem. All right, get it ready. I'll make her take it.
Now, you have to turn your minds into this. The first man to lie with her after she's taken the potion will die within a week. And nothing in the world would save him.
Bloody shit! I'm not going to swallow that. You're not sticking me with that. No, I'm stuffed thanks to you.
Calm down, calm down, calm down. There's a remedy.
Namely,
We get someone else to sleep with her immediately, so that by spending one night with her, he draws all the potion of the Mandragola into himself. Then you can lie with her with no danger to yourself.
I don't want to do it.
Why not?
Because I don't want to make my wife a whore and myself a cockhold.
Your Honor, what are you saying? Oh, I thought you were wiser than this. So, you hesitate to do what's been done by the King of France and all the lords in this kingdom?
What do you expect me to find to do such a crazy thing? If I tell him what it is, he'll refuse. If I don't tell him, then I'm betraying him and I'll be called before the magistrates. I don't want to end up neck deep in trouble.
If that's all that's bothering you, leave everything to me.
What's to be done?
I'll tell you. I'll give you the potion. This evening, after supper, you'll give it to her to drink. And straight away, you'll put her into bed. And that will be around 9 o'clock tonight. Then, we'll disguise ourselves. You, Ligorio, Ciro, and me. And we'll go looking around the Mercato Vecchio and Mercato Nuevo, around here. And the first young scrundle that we find hanging around, we'll blindfold him and rough him up and bring him to your house and your bedchamber in the dark. We'll put him into your bed. We'll tell him what he has to do, and there won't be any problem at all. Then in the morning, we'll send him on his way before dawn. You'll give your wife a bath, a good wash, and you can lie with her at your pleasure and without danger.
If you say that kings and princes and lords have taken this path, I'm happy. But one thing above all, don't let anybody know about it. And the watch will be onto us.
Who do you think would say a word?
There's still one important problem.
What's that?
Making my wife agree. I don't think she'll ever come around.
You're right. But I would rather not to be married if I couldn't persuade my wife to do what I wanted.
I've thought of a remedy. What? Use her confessor.
Who will persuade her confessor?
You, me, money, and their weak nature. I suspect, apart from anything else, that she'll refuse to go and speak to her confessor on my say-so. There's a remedy for that too.
Tell me.
Get her mother to take her along. She does trust her mother. And I know her mother thinks the way we do. Well, now, time's passing and it's getting late. Callimaco, take yourself off for a walk and make sure that late this afternoon we can find you at your house with the potion all prepared. We'll go to her mother's house, the judge and I, to get her on side, because she's a friend of mine. Then we'll go off to visit the friar, and we'll report back to you what we have done.